Hello everyone, welcome to Veranda IAS in this series of lectures of current affairs associated with art and culture. The topic of the discussion for the day is Monpa Handmade Paper. Monpa Handmade Paper, the topic is in the news which is associated with your syllabus of GS Paper 1, that is art and culture. The learning objectives of the day are to examine Monpa Handmade Paper and then discuss the Monpa Handmade Paper in news. Why this topic in news? As we have the trend in this current affairs series, and then we will explain about the homemade paper industry associated to Monpa paper. We will analyze the details related to KVIC as well. What is KVIC? The Khadi and the Village Industries Commission. We'll discuss one by one. First and foremost, the Monpa Handmade Paper. You can see in the initial slide also you saw thin paper. Also, this is from the PIB. We have taken the picture of the Monpa Handmade Paper. This industry is associated or is prevalent in northeastern India. In northeastern India, specifically if we talk the area or the state of Arunachal, Monpa handmade paper industry was flourishing there in ancient times. But since years, we can say since a century, this industry was on decline. Why this industry was on decline? See, what are the basics of any industry to bloom? What are the basic things or requirements for any industry to sustain? First and foremost, it is the compatibility with the changing things, or we can say the updated technology and the updated machinery. So Monpa handmade paper industry was facing the challenges of all these only. Not only this, apart from that, the geographical location of this area was also not very favorable for the transportation of technology or machinery to the area. That was also one of the important challenges being faced by the Monpa handmade paper industry. Very recently, the topic is in news because KVIC, Khadi and Village Industries Commission, has taken up this to their shoulders and have introduced the Monpa handmade paper industry revival. What all introductions have this commission made? What was the support by the Arunachal Pradesh government? We will discuss one by one. Introduction to Monpa handmade paper industry. First and foremost, some details about the paper industry. The delicately textured handmade paper it is. Very important, handmade paper. What does it mean? First and foremost, this is unique since it is handmade. Second, the revival of this industry is going to bring employment to the area. Brings employment. Because it is handmade, then more number of people will be appointed because of the requirement of the labor or the artists, we can say. So it will bring employment to the area. Employment means boost to the local economy. What is required for an area to develop? That is economy, the strong economic conditions. And this is what is that is why this is considered as one of the important steps in the development of the state of Arunachal Pradesh. The delicately textured handmade paper, which was locally known as Mon Shugu. Locally, it is known as Mon Shugu. It is an integral element of the vibrant culture of Tawang's indigenous tribe. Specifically, it is associated with the area of Tawang. Just open the geographical map of India or the geographical map of world and look into this area of Tawang. Becomes important. Tawang has the bordering area, that is Tibet, or we can say China. So Tawang is that area. Indigenous tribes of Tawang are associated with Monpa handmade paper industry. We are again and again saying Monpa. What is this word? There might be a question in your minds. What is Monpa? Monpa are the tribal people, name of a tribe of Arunachal Pradesh or northeastern India, we can say. So since this paper was developed by them indigenously or in older days, that is why handmade paper industry got name on the name of the tribes associated. The paper is historically and religiously significant as well. Historically, why? Because this industry is years old, 1,000 years old we can say. And religiously, why? Because this paper was used in the monasteries of the Buddhism. Religiously, it is significant because it is the paper used in the monasteries to write Buddhist text and the Buddhist chants, or we can say Buddhist mantras in the layman language. The paper was used by the monasteries, by the Buddhist monks. That is why also this paper is important. Monpa handmade paper is crafted from the bark of a native tree. How it is made? The paper is crafted from the bark. Very thin bark of a tree is cut. The native tree it is, which is found there only, and the tree is known as shugu sheng. The name of the tree in the local language was shugu sheng. That is why shugu sheng. That is why the Monpa paper is known as Mon Shugu. It means crafted by shugu sheng tree, which is also having medicinal properties. Not only this tree is important for the paper, the thin and the unique paper, but also this tree has the medicinal properties. With the Monpa handmade paper industry, this tree is also going to get recognition and its medicinal value will also be recognized by the world. Why this topic is in news? Recently, the KVIC, Khadi and Village Commission revitalized Arunachal Pradesh Monpa handmade paper, that is 1,000-year-old cultural art. This is 1,000-year-old, unique to the state of Arunachal Pradesh, recently revitalized by KVIC. Some more details. The skill of handcrafting Monpa paper dates all the way back to almost 1,000 years ago. Gradually, the art became ingrained in Tawang's customs and culture. This is what is history. We have read. What is practiced for years over an area becomes ingrained in the customs, the values, the culture, and the local traditions of that area. Similarly, Monpa handmade paper was there for more than 1,000 years, and that is why this art became prevalent in the tribes, in the Monpa people, and in the customs and culture of Tawang area. This handmade paper was a significant source of income for the indigenous people. Due to the volume of production at a time, Monpas sold these papers to nations like Tibet, Bhutan, Thailand, and Japan. Not only this was popular in India, since it was produced in bulk. The bulk paper, since the volume of production was very large, the bulk paper was sold to the nations which were nearby to India, and the trade in Monpa handmade paper was done in Tibet, done with Tibet, Bhutan, Thailand and Japan as well, which do not have a paper manufacturing sector at that time. Now the question arises, if this was that much popular, why this declined? The competition. Any industry we know is not able to survive because of competition. If any industry is declining, one of the important causes can be the competition. Similarly, the Monpa handmade paper industry got a competition from Chinese paper. Though it was inferior in the quality, but still this Chinese paper competed with Monpa handmade paper industry, and because of lack of mechanization in the Monpa handmade paper industry, this industry succumbed. The indigenous industry, on the other hand, continued to shrink with time, and indigenous handmade paper was eventually overtaken by the inferior Chinese paper. This was the past. After that, for years, various steps were taken as well to revitalize or to revive the production. But how can any production be revitalized? It needs government funding or government support. That is why this step by KVIC is commendable. What were the challenges in front of the KVIC? That also we will discuss. But when in 1990s the steps were taken to revive the Monpa handmade paper industry, because of the lack of any government funding or support, it again got collapsed. Over the last century, the handmade paper industry has nearly vanished, has nearly got destroyed. The resurrection is consistent with the Prime Minister's vocal for local mantra. Important. You can quote vocal for local as well as local to global. Local to global. The mantras given by the Prime Minister of India. Prime Minister of India says or promotes Make in India, promotes industries, promotes the local production. And at this time, when local production of the art or the skills is promoted by the Government of India, at that time the resurrection of the Monpa handmade paper industry is going to bring employment, identification and sustainability to the area and to the people associated with the area. This is in consistence with the vocal for local plan of the Government of India. Also, we have discussed, since this paper had caliber earlier as well, that this paper was sold because of the bulk production and also the quality uniqueness. This was sold in the nearby nations in present day as well. The efforts of the government and the efforts by the people can take it to other nations as well, can bring a boost to the economy of the area and to the economy of the country as well. Additionally, not only this, Tawang was the area which was known for its handmade pottery as well. Handmade pottery of Tawang was also very popular, is even popular today. The revival of the handmade pottery will begin immediately as well under the Kumhar Sashaktikaran Yojana. What is Kumhar Sashaktikaran Yojana? Name suggests. Who is a Kumhar? Kumhar is the Hindi name for potter. The one who deals or who makes pottery. The Hindi name for potter is Kumhar. Sashaktikaran is upliftment or strengthening. Yojana is the plan, the scheme. So under the Kumhar Sashaktikaran Yojana, KSY, there are steps taken to promote the handmade pottery of the Tawang region as well. KSY was started in 2018 with the goal of strengthening and improving the living conditions of potters in the country by increasing their self-sufficiency. How can we improve the conditions of potters? By increasing their self-sufficiency. 2018 this scheme was launched. Something about KVIC before that. When KVIC took this action of establishing or reviving the handmade paper industry of Monpa paper in Arunachal Pradesh, KVIC faced certain challenges. In 1990s also we discussed that these steps were taken to promote or revive this paper industry. But those steps were insufficient or failed. Why? Because one important reason was geographical location. Geographical location of Tawang or Tawang Valley. Geographical location of Tawang was such difficult. Tawang was associated in a hilly terrain. It was difficult for the government or for the people to easily take or transport the machinery and easily transport the things needed for developing an industry to that area. So here also KVIC faced these challenges, but the state government of Arunachal Pradesh extended the support to KVIC. Not only this, the state government of Arunachal Pradesh lent a land to KVIC for establishing this establishing this industry at a very nominal rate or at a very negligible rent. Next is what will be the benefits when this industry will be revived or with this step of KVIC. See, benefits will be obviously to the economy. First, economic boost. You can mention or write economic boost not only to the local economy but also to the economy of the nation if we start exporting these papers. Next, skill development. How skill development? Because KVIC has said that these industries will be the training centers for the youth of the area, and since it is a handmade paper, the skill will be imparted to the upcoming generations and the future generations or the youth of the area. So skill development, economic boost, strengthening the economy, strengthening the conditions of the people, all these will be the benefits. Apart from that, KVIC has mentioned that already employed 9 people in this work, KVIC. Apart from that, all those 9 people are getting, and whatever people KVIC is going to appoint, they are getting 400 rupees per day. Rupees 400 per day, KVIC has mentioned. So it is a direct income to the local people, and also it is one of these steps which is going to include the development or include those areas with the race or pace of the development of mainland India. Some factual information about KVIC. Khadi and Village Industries Commission is an independent statutory body. Very important, relevant, remember, it is a statutory body. It was established under the KVIC Act 1956, second 5-year plan it was. The KVIC is responsible for developing, promoting, organizing and implementing programs to develop Khadi, as the name suggests, and the village industries in rural regions in conjunction with other rural development organizations as appropriate. KVIC has to associate with other organizations and has to work on the development of Khadi and the village industries, rural regions. It is subordinate to the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. Factual information, please remember. So this was all for today. In today's session, we discussed about the Monpa Handmade Paper. Monpa Handmade Paper in news, why this topic was in news, and then the paper industry, the challenges associated with the paper industry, and then KVIC. This was all for today. I hope you all enjoyed this session. We will continue our discussion from here. Till then, stay tuned, keep studying. Thank you so much.